Hello there, out in internet land. Welcome to Monday, July 6th. I hope you had a nice 4th of July weekend. There are a lot of fireworks for the last month in Los Angeles. And, a lot of times things happen and it really affects people emotionally, like my dog, who does not like hearing the explosions outside, and he gets fearful and he goes and hides in the closet and things like that. Which brings up the idea of what we do when things happen kind of grab hold of us. Because we are in the week of Pinchas. And the very beginning of this Torah portion really is kind of a denouement to the climax, which occurs at the very end of last week's Torah portion. And this is TV 14, so if you have a young child in the room with you. So what happens is Zimri, who is an Israelite, he brings a Midianite cult prostitute named Cosby into a tent. It's TV 14. I won't go into what was happening in the tent. But Pinchas gets very upset, so angered that he charges into the tent with a sword, and he basically spears both of them with the sword through the stomach. So I always pictured it like it was like they were embraced, and he just put that sword right through both of them and kills them on the spot. At the beginning of this Torah portion, it's named Pinchas because at the very beginning is God talking about Pinchas. And he offers to Pinchas something that I've always found to be incredibly fascinating, which is he offers him the gift of peace, a blessing of peace. Why? Why would he do that? Just went in and basically murdered these two people. I like to think of it in terms of when someone is so caught up in this anger emotion and such a zealot, which is what they call him, that energy needed to be turned. The energy needed to be turned from his rage and his zealotry to peace. And again, and it's so fascinating to me, I feel like this is a theme that has been carried over the last 3 or 4 months, if you can believe we've been doing this for 4 months. That idea that, we had this last week, where something is used to make it impure and to make it pure. We have Yetzer Tov and Yetzer Ra, the two sides of the inclinations for good and the inclination for evil. And here we have someone his zealotry is so strong, but it's put into a destructive direction as opposed to a constructive direction. And it feels to me like what God is saying is, you know what, you're an incredible zealot, and I know you love me, and I know you're going to stick up for me. But there's another way. There's another way to do that, and it's through peace. So if you can take that zealotry and bring it to peace. So now let's talk about us. What do we do when rage comes up inside of us? What do we do with anger feelings that come up? And I've always kind of prided on myself as being a person that doesn't anger easily, like slow to anger, like one of the 13 attributes of God. I do find, that doesn't mean I'm calling myself God, by the way. My wife had a little stop there. It was like, wait a minute, you're saying you're like God? And it's like, far from it. But that attribute of slow to anger, I've always felt that was an important attribute. And I do find that in the last, I don't know, maybe 2 months of this, that I find that there's things that anger me easily, or I get that kind of, energy that comes into this area of your body when anger occurs. And I want to use the word rage at this point, because I do believe that it was rage that powered Pinchas to do what he did. And that there comes a point when the anger comes into all of us, that it gets to the point where it kind of blows over, and that to me is the rage, that the thing that takes you over the edge, and that it has to come out, is what the people were feeling, I think, after they'd been quarantined for so long, and we had that George Floyd situation. I think that, you know, people were already kind of agitated, and this is why I feel I may have had these kind of fits of anger coming into me, is, you know, you're pent up and everything's inside, and there was an opportunity to bring that out, and what comes out is extreme. What comes out is extreme emotions, and if it's anger, that's the anger that's going to come out. If people are starting to feel lonely, that loneliness just gets exacerbated by the fact that we're staying in, we can't do certain things, we're feeling pressed upon. So I think part of the exploration that I'd like to bring into our meditation is, how can we turn the anger or rage that boils inside of us into peace? How can we take it, try to understand it, and then turn it on its head? And part of it, of course, is noticing when it occurs inside of you. Maybe you're feeling it right now towards something. And again, our internal voice, the thing that gets us moving on this and circular and kind of coming back to this idea that we're right and that we should be angry, and that we have, you know, had this happen to us and we're justified in our behavior, and that it's okay. All of that is our mind convincing us that it's okay to feel the way we're feeling. And there isn't anything necessarily wrong with that, except that if that feeling is causing pain to others, or if that feeling is creating an environment where no one can meet you where you are because you have this kind of anger inside, then it's problematic. And so I think that the first thing is, notice, what is it that's causing your heart to beat a little bit? What is it that's causing your blood pressure to go up? What is it that's bringing about anger inside of you? And I especially want to think about the anger that we don't let out, that stays inside of us and that we're not, you know, talking about or letting anyone in on. That kind can be dangerous also because it festers and it grows, and the only voice that you hear is your own voice, which wants to justify you feeling that way. So it's going to say, oh, you're okay for doing that because it's the other person's fault, or it belongs really to them. It's their responsibility to change their behavior so that you don't feel the anger. And we don't think, how can I change my behavior? And basically, there's only one thing that we actually can control, and it's our reaction to what's happening to us. So the exploration is inside of us. It could end up that exploration needs to belong to the person that is making us angry, or the people that are making us angry, or the situation, but the situation is not going to reflect upon itself, and we can't be guaranteed that any other person is going to reflect. So we have to do that reflection. Why does that make me so angry? What is it about this that brings about rage? Is it a control issue? Is it a passive issue? Is it that we're waiting, like Aaron Burr? I wanted to get that reference to Hamilton in there at some point today. But I think that's worth exploring, is those feelings exactly, those places, those points in your life that bring about an anger or a rage or high blood pressure or a frustration, and what can you do to bring peace into that? Notice, I'm feeling this. Why am I feeling this? Is there another way I can react? And you know, your answer might be there is not another way you can react. That there was something justifiably, or just that makes you justifiably angry. But I think what we're trying to do in our meditation is still ourselves and calm our bodies and bring peace into our lives. So as you're thinking, I know that there's times in the meditation where I do think about those things that have been getting me angry. And, okay, I think there we go. And so the exploration when that happens is to ask those questions, is noticing that this is an anger feeling. Why is it? And is there something I can do to turn that around? So that's our little introduction for today. So I'll just bring us into doing the breathing. I'll talk to just get us into it, and then we'll go silent. And then the last 5 minutes or so, we'll go to our blessings for feelings for Monday. May I feel safe and healthy. I hope all of you are feeling healthy today, and that you're doing things to stay safe. But it always helps to ask for feelings of safety and feelings of health, because talking to ourselves through it, our mind really can be a helpful partner in bringing peace into our lives if we will allow it, and to differentiate between our conscious thinking and our autopilot thinking, which wants to justify our feelings and wants to say, hey, you're okay. It's all right that you feel that way. It's the other person. We need to keep on asking about ourselves, because that's the only thing we have control over at this point, actually. Okay, so get yourself into a position that is both strong and relaxed. This chair could be like this much wider and my arms would fit in better. All right, I'm going to do the bell now. Sometimes it scares Michelle, so I'm announcing it beforehand so that it doesn't scare so much. Are you ready? So if you want to close your eyes, you can do this staring at one spot, but I just find it's easier when our eyes are closed. And let's just kind of begin breathing. Just a normal breath. You don't have to push it. What's your breath feel like today? Is it more shallow than usual? Is it regular? Do you need to take some deep breaths in the middle of things? How's your body feeling? Are you tense? Is it tight? Just feel the way your breath works in your body, how your stomach or your chest expand, and then contract with the out breath. And remember, we're just noticing, we're just observing where our thoughts go, what we're thinking about. And if we do turn to feelings that make you a little bit agitated, please take that moment to notice the agitation. Ask yourself, really, why do you think you're feeling the anger? And then, how can you turn it? Is it simply by changing your attitude inside your head? Is it that you're going to need to talk to the person or people that have angered you? Usually that is the best route to figure this out. But inside of yourself, sometimes it's illuminating to know what is frustrating and angers you, so that you might realize, maybe I can go in a different direction. That might be a little bit more positive. And sometimes when agitation comes, it forces you to do things, and that's not so bad. But for now, let's try to clear ourselves out. Notice our breath. Try to relax your body on each breath. You have tension. You don't need to change your breath. You don't need to solve all of your life's problems. You don't need to fix anything right now. Now's the time to just be. And if you are agitated and feel anger or rage, just try to let it go through you with the breath. Sometimes you may need a deep breath to kind of calm your body and to calm your mind. You usually know if you need it. And it's okay, even if I'm saying breathe regularly. If you need something else, just do it. You don't have to judge yourself. These are just invitations, suggestions, questions. This is for you to find stillness. And finally, and then I'll be quiet after this, remember that we're just allowing things to be as they are for this moment. That's where the noticing comes in. If we try to do something, if we try to change, then we're not in our natural state of thinking, of breathing, of existing. We're in the doing place, and that's where we're trying to stay away. Allow things to be as they are for this moment. our final minutes together, let us ask for certain feelings. May I feel safe. May I feel healthy. Sometimes we forget that there are other illnesses out there. And we might have a little bug, or we might have a little cold, or we could have something where we're not feeling tip-top. So we need to give thanks and be grateful for our health. But may I feel healthy. It's important. May I feel safe. We can exist in these places but not feel these things. May I feel healthy and safe. May I feel healthy. May I feel safe. May I feel safe. May I feel healthy. If you need one of these things more than the other, continuously ask yourself just that one. If you need it more, may I feel safe. May I feel safe. May I feel safe. May I feel healthy. May I feel healthy. May I feel healthy and safe. On each breath, I invite you to offer yourself one of those feelings. You can say it to yourself, or you can say it out loud. And if you'd like to bring someone in front of your mind's eye and offer health and safety to them, you may do so. May you feel safe. May you feel healthy. May you feel healthy and safe. Let's bring it back to ourselves. May I feel healthy. May I feel safe. If you need, based upon what we were meditating on, you could say, may I feel calm also. Maybe add a little wrinkle. May I feel calm. May I feel healthy. May I feel safe. Let's just keep that up for several breaths. And with those feelings of safety and health, let's return to our breath for the last minute or so. Just concentrating on our bodies and what they feel like and what our breath feels like going in and out. That's our life right there. See if you can Give yourself a little smile. Not a huge one, but once your lips go wide like that, you can feel your entire body shift. Other waves of that sound just continue on. Still not done. Thank you for joining me today. That went extremely fast for me. May you feel safe. May you feel healthy, and we'll work on it. May you feel calm. I hope you have a beautiful day.